Hi, I'm Libby and welcome to today's episode of the Property Pod. Today I'm joined by Nick, founder of Attwells Solicitors, and today we're just going to take a look inside the firm and just sort of talk about its values and company culture. So welcome to the podcast, Nick.
Thanks very much, Libby.
No worries. And so Nick, just we want today to sort of obviously just give a look inside the firm and talk about its values. So why did you set up the firm in the first place? What inspired you to do it?
Okay. Attwells was set up in 2007, and I think what I was trying to do in 2007 was trying to develop a firm that was one expert around property, which was sort of my expertise, but also that of my business partners as well. So that was one aspect of it, and then the other aspect of it is really about its purpose, which for me is about sort of breaking down the barriers to law and saying to people that anyone can become a lawyer. In the previous firm that I was at, one of the things that I was really impressed with that we did in that firm was to ensure that we were taking people from a diverse range of backgrounds and making sure that we were giving them opportunities. And therefore, when I set up Attwells, I really wanted to make sure that people, if they had the ability and if they're prepared to work hard, that they too could become lawyers. And just because their parents hadn't done it or they didn't have any connections in the industry, that we were helping them to make those connections and to sort of get a career underway with us. So I think that's been sort of one of the sort of underlying reasons I wanted to set the firm up.
Yeah, definitely. I think it's really great as a firm how people just come in at any level really and just can get into the legal profession, or they can get into conveyancing or support staff or anything. So that's one of the reasons that I chose to work at the firm. Is it's just a great atmosphere for just for socials and just for mainly progressing yourself, especially because that's one of our 4 Ps, our company pillars. So and that's also another thing that I found really impressive, is that we have sort of a layout for stuff like that, so everyone knows what's expected of them, and also what it's like as a place to work as well. Like, just if you'd like to elaborate on the P's really.
So a few years ago, sort of like we were sort of trying to sort of capture what it was like to work at Attwells, and we wanted to sort of try and come up with some words to be able to say, well, this is what it's like, and we sort of came up with a couple of P's, and I think we then sort of squeezed a couple of other words into P's, and we've ended up with our 4 P's of Attwells. But we do feel that they sort of really do reflect what it's like at Attwells and what's what makes us different in a way. And so we sort of got our first one really is sort of progressive. And for me personally, it means a lot in the sense that I've sort of tried to do as much as I could with the abilities that I was given, and I feel very much therefore that everyone should try to progress themselves, and we should try to progress the firm, as far as we possibly can, and it's part of my responsibility to make sure that everyone's got the tools and the support, to do that. That's sort of what I guess that P for progression is about. It's about the firm progressing. I want our firm to have the best possible IT tools of any law firm of its comparable size. At the same time, I want people to feel that they can come in and they can go as far through the firm as as they want, and they understand how to do all of that, whether that's on the support side or whether that's on the legal side. But also, I think I temper it with, there are people like me who are sort of, ambitious and want to progress, in that sort of sense. But also, it's just like about a mindset thing too. I think, if you're sort of perfectly happy at your particular level, it's just about you having that approach that when you come in each day to trying to do your job as well as you can. It may be you don't want to climb the career ladder, and there's nothing wrong with that. But equally, there should be, I think, an approach of I want to try and do my job in the best possible way. And that's what it.
Great. And I'd say one of the other P's we have is positive. So when I've sort of joined, I've been here for about nearly 6 months now, and I've just been struck by how positive the firm is and how everyone's just out to help you, and it's just a great working environment. So you wouldn't really think of it as like a traditional law firm where it's like, I initially was like, do I want to work for a law firm? Because I'm not because I'm a marketer, so I'm not really the traditional sort of person to be interested in it. But I just was struck by how positive it is and how modern it is as a law firm as well. You always sort of think of somebody in sort of a big wig and looking a bit intimidating, but it's just so the opposite. So that's what I really like about it, definitely.
I'm pleased. That's sort of what I wanted. I sort of in sort of when I started off work, I was working in sort of big firm in the city, and it was a bit more as you describe, and I wanted it to be it was to be a place where people are entirely relaxed, and from whatever background you come from, I wanted people to be entirely relaxed at work, you're within Attwells. And I also just wanted, I think everyone spends a lot of time at work, and it's really important that people come to work, with a sort of glass half full approach to life, trying to just be as positive as possible at work, because then it rubs off on everybody else. Everyone has a much sort of better day.
Yeah, definitely.
And so I think it's nice to have that sort of vibe and feel, within the firm. And I sort of try myself to sort of always ensure that that's the approach that I take. That whatever's happening, try to always take a positive step, forward, rather than sort of to be moaning or complaining about anything. Because I think that's the way we should try to all approach things.
Yeah, definitely. And everyone's very professional as well. Again, that's one of our P's. And I would just say that obviously everyone in the firm is just sort of very helpful to other people and their clients as well. So I really like that side of it as well. So yeah, the professional one, I mean, obviously we're lawyers and therefore it's a profession and we're professional in that sense. But I think what we were trying to get at with that particular P was this idea of people sort of just keeping promises. So if I promise you something, Libby, then you should have an expectation that I'm going to do it. And likewise, if I promise a client that I'm going to come back to them by a certain period of time, they should have an expectation that that's going to happen too. So we sort of think a bit more around that side of things, and certainly sort of trying to get away from this idea of it's about the way you look. I mean, I like looking like this, but we've got people who dress in all kinds of different styles, and that's something that we embrace. So for me, professional isn't about whether I'm wearing a suit or not, or a shirt and tie or whatever it may be. It's about the way you behave. It's about your integrity. It's about honesty. It's about treating people properly, and all of those sorts of values. Okay, great. And with one of the other P's I'd say that we have is personal, and again, kind of a similar to positive, but everyone in the firm, like I've actually made like one of my best friends, Ruby, who I work with, and she's just so lovely, and it's just so nice to work with someone that you're actually friends with, and just my colleagues as well. Other than that, we're all good mates, and it's just really nice atmosphere. But I'd also say it's great personal wise how many socials we have and stuff. At my last job, we had like once a year and that was it, so people weren't really encouraged to sort of just bother with their workmates or anything, and I think that's not as great, because it's great to have the chance to see your friends out of work, or like see colleagues out of work and stuff, and it's just good for working relationships and everything like that. So we recently had the Halloween quiz yesterday, and that was very fun, and we had pizza really and all this sort of stuff. So yeah, that's what I've really liked about it. Yeah, and I think that's sort of that sort of P for person is just like trying to just care a bit more about your colleagues, just trying to take that moment to work out what's going on in their lives without being like a nosy person. That's not what it's about, but it's sort of about just showing a personal interest with who you're working with, so that you're building some connections there. And I mean, we'd say the same to our lawyers around their clients. Just get to understand them a bit better. Understand what their objectives are, what their needs are, so that you're again making a deeper connection. So it's about internally us looking after one another and supporting one another, and it's also, I think, externally about us supporting our clients and building proper long-term relationships with our clients too. Yeah, definitely. And it's great, we have actually got the Christmas party coming up, I think, as well, which I'm so excited for, because I think we're doing it at like Hintlesham Hall or something, but yeah, that would be really cool. And we had the summer sports day as well, that was really cool. So it's just nice to see people outside of their like lawyer atmosphere and lawyer sort of office sort of type thing. So yeah, that was really cool.
Always try to have something, I think, going on sort of once a month, and we've got the sort of bigger events where the whole firm will try and get together, but also then we've got sort of our 3 offices, and each of those sort of trying to do something with the team around there sort of at least once a month. So it's just gelling people together. It's we're all sort of sociable animals, and I think it's really important that that's a part of the workplace as well.
And with the 4 Ps, I know we do also do the Ps in the post box. So that's my favourite thing, because you always, as soon as you get nominated for a P, you're like, oh yes, I'm going to just get a nice, it's just like makes you feel good, it's a bit of recognition. And I think that's really nice and positive that, people are encouraged from the firm to, sort of personify these Ps themselves in their working lives. So that's really struck me as something great as well. So
it's a slightly sort of funny thing that we do, but it's sort of we try to make sure that any sort of senior people who are seeing anyone who's exhibiting the Ps to sort of call it out, celebrate it, actually give them a physical P, and then we sort of put these into this post box, and then once a quarter we'll sort of pull out say 3 or 4, and it's like £100 for each person pulled out. Just it's a bit of fun, but it's just trying to celebrate our culture, and and just trying to embed it in with everybody, so that we're all sort of connected in that way.
No, great. And we have people in the firm as well that really personify these Ps, I think. And so tell me a bit about Dawn, for example.
Yeah, so Dawn's someone she's worked with us for a number of years, and over the last couple of years, particularly sort of during the pandemic, she's really sort of come into her own. And she came to me one day and just said, I'd really like to do something around mental health. And I'm passionate about mental health, but what was so good was to have somebody, from beneath, sort of effectively coming and giving the idea and wanting to do something, rather than sort of, the leadership team, saying, well, we should do this. And Dawn came through and said, look, I've been on a course, I'm really passionate about mental health. I want to bring this to the workplace, make sure that we're looking after the well-being of our staff. I want to, and make sure that we've got mental health first aiders, and really we're living that. And she's done a huge amount, as far as that's concerned, in terms of sort of developing our mental health policies, finding other people and getting them bought in on it. People feeling free to tell their stories on any mental health issues that they've had, and and I'm really pleased about it. It's enabled me to talk a bit about my mental health, which I wouldn't have done otherwise. And I think it's important that everyone can, because yes, part of it is resilience, but part of it is also around us being open, in that sort of way of feeling that we can portray, be vulnerable too. And Dawn really has been the catalyst to all of that. And and it's been fantastic for her to have brought that through the firm, and it's one of the real benefits we've had over the last sort of 12 months or so. And it's personifying our sort of P for personal caring for her colleagues, enough to say, look, we've all got these issues, so let's let's try and do something about it.
Yeah, definitely. Especially right now with the current COVID-19 pandemic, I think that's massively become a more prevalent issue in today's society and stuff. So it's great that we have sort of someone that's taken the initiative to just think, I'm going to help the firm tackle this. And it's really very progressive as well as personal, I think. Yeah,
no, I agree.
Lovely. And on the progressive note, I would say another person that we probably should talk about is Laura Catania.
Yeah. Laura sort of, I knew from my previous firm, so Laura effectively sort of started off as a conveyancing secretary when she was sort of 16, so left school at 16, and she now is a partner of Attwells, and she's done all of that. She's through a large part of that also looked after her son, being a single mum for all of that. And I mean, I can't think of sort of any greater degree of progression that anyone can do than to being a sort of full-time mum and to progress your legal career to the highest possible point. And I've got the utmost sort of respect for her, and she's sort of why I set the firm up. That's the reason to do it, is for people to be able to access the profession in that way, and to be able to take their career all the way through to the absolute top. And it fills me with a huge amount of sort of admiration for her and sort of pleasure that she's managed to do that. She's a fantastic story for us.
She's a very good example, very inspiring. I can't even imagine, I struggle with my 9 to 5 and then doing the course on the side. I can't imagine the amount of stuff that she's done. That's really very impressive.
I agree.
Cool. And then we also have Harpreet. So that's another one for progressive. She's very progressive, as well as Stuart. So
so they're both sort of departmental heads. So they came to us as sort of unqualified lawyers, and they progressed really quickly on to qualifying as lawyers with us, and then sort of going on from qualifying lawyers to us to build actually teams. So Stuart's looking after our Suffolk conveyancing team, and Harpreet's looking after our London conveyancing team. So they've now got a team sitting underneath them, and they've done all of that themselves, with us as well. So they're both young people that I'm hugely proud of them to be able to develop those sort of careers with us.
Definitely. I think it's really great that they've been able to sort of progress themselves to that level, and it's also really good inspiration for everyone else that's just sort of like an entry level to the firm. Definitely. Or sort of thinking about, I'm in, the inquiries team, I might want to become a conveyancer, and then where they can go with that. So that's really great. And I would also say with the innovation side of things as well, there are members of the teams in Colchester, London and Ipswich, I think, that have set up their own departments as well and seen a need for that sort of niche.
Yeah, so I mean, one thing maybe that people don't know so much about Attwells is we're well known on the conveyancing side of the business, and that sort of represents half of what we do, but the other half of what we do is sort of property far more sort of broadly, and also employment work. And sort of there's two people who probably fit into sort of that side of progressing and building their own department, to talk about. Maybe three really, I think. First of all, sort of, Will, who's sort of my original business partner when I set up Attwells, and he built a property litigation department primarily from absolute scratch, and now he's got a team there in Colchester, working underneath him, alongside him, delivering sort of advice to property investors and other sort of business people. So that's been fantastic. And then sort of, it's not quite property, but but employment, which is probably our other sort of niche that we've got. Lloyd. So sort of, Lloyd sort of came to us, started out as a trainee solicitor with us, was doing some conveyancing and other work as well, and sort of said, well, look, I'd really like to do employment. So Will and I supported him to sort of set up his department to help to supervise him in those early days, and then he's sort of gone on and built that now to himself and his colleague now working around just pure employment work, and that's a fantastic credit to sort of take something from absolute nothing as he's done. And on Lloyd's side as well, he's I think he's the first person in his family to have gone to university, and to be a part of, to have a profession in that sense. And I think he's very proud of that. So he's sort of progressed in both of those ways. And then finally, I mean, Laura Harrington-Rutherford as well, who again sort of started off as one of my trainees. She's now a partner of the firm, and but initially she sort of qualified as a property solicitor, and then has sort of moved over to retrain, and she's been set up and run our private client team, which again now has grown into a large team for the firm as well. So all of those people who sort of, and that's one of the things we tried to have was this opportunity to sort of create your own thing, sort of, within our shell, and sort of develop that into its own department and things. And so, their progression in a different way is just as amazing and should be celebrated, I think.
Yeah, definitely. It's very inspiring. I mean, I'm only a lowly marketing assistant, but just watching from my, from my entry level job, all these people that have done such amazing things, it's just so inspiring. And we have obviously got that career structure as well that has been recently released, which is very cool. And I just think even from a support point of view, looking at all that as a sort of perspective, you do see the sort of routes you can go and the levels that you can get to. So that's really
that was
cool.
one of the things we tried to do is sort of really we created a sort of career at Attwells document, just trying to explain the different ways through the firm, trying to help people to navigate their way through the firm, what you need to do to move to this next level, how you could move from being a lawyer to maybe moving over to the support side. So we've got a couple of people who've done that sort of movement over either into compliance or indeed into sort of firm training. So they've done that side of things. Or indeed from our support side, we've got people who've done that journey up onto sort of board level of the firm, through support as well. So it's really, we try to sort of just capture that so we can try and answer some of those questions that people have about how do I do it? They sort of see these inspiring people, but then
like, oh my God,
how do I do it?
And
it's like, well, here's a document that tries to help to explain how you can do it too.
Yeah, it's really good because I feel like in my other jobs that I've had, looking for career progression or anything like that, or for example quarterly bonuses, sort of stuff like that, it's not as visible and it's not as clear. And I really like that with Attwells you can literally see where you can go and the route, and it literally details out in the most simple forms like how you're going to do it. If you want to do this, we can help you with this. And the fact that we pay for people's qualifications and stuff like the Silex one or the LPC, that's really amazing to me as well. So
yeah, I mean the bonus ones one, just to sort of pick up on, because I mean that's something that's very popular I think with the team. We've got really generous sort of bonus structure where we're sort of paying out quarterly on that, and it's sort of 15% above target on a quarterly basis, and I think that's very good. I think compared to things that are out there, and it's about, for me, sharing what you've got in a transparent type way, rather than sort of a scheme that sort of you get to the end of the year, you don't know whether you're going to be in or not in, and you don't know how much you're going to get. We try to say, well, look, if you get above your target, then you can have 15% of that, and that's clear, and it's happening quarterly, so you don't have to wait to the end of a year. So we're actually sharing our success with our people as as the year's going on, and also in a transparent way where they can see it. So I think that's it seems to be popular, and so again, sort of trying to fit with our sort of culture and our values.
Yeah, definitely. It's great that people are recognised for their hard work and their progression and stuff, and fitting in for the firm's values. That's really cool to me as well, I think.
Good.
But yeah, are we currently looking for anyone though? At the moment?
We're always on the lookout. So, I mean, at the end of the day, we're always looking for sort of, bright, talented young people who sort of, want to go and progress their career, whether that's sort of people starting out at sort of the apprenticeship level, where we've got sort of apprenticeships, that people can apply for. So we've got that sort of entry level thing, but also, onto sort of experienced lawyers who are looking for something a bit different, to go somewhere where they have a little bit more freedom, or where they feel that they can understand how they can progress their career, more clearly. Anybody like that, we want to hear from you, for definite.
Yeah. Oh, that's great. Well, thank you so much for all that. Great interview, as always. And for all you guys at home, if you did like this podcast and you found it useful, then don't forget to like, share and subscribe, and we'll see you next time.